stuff, because this is now like 9:30 at night, around 9:30 at night. She said, doctors arrived at the hospital and we're going to do surgery on you right away. And some orderlies and people came in and they threw my wife out of the room. And it was very disturbing because I was trying to tell them and I wanted to tell my wife what had happened to me. So when I passed my wife in the hall on the gurney on the way to the surgery, I said, everything's going to be great. And she just started bawling because she thought like that was like a dying man, you know. You know. Strange thing about the experience is the memory hasn't dulled at all. It's real intense. And I don't know, it stays intense. And I believe that one of the reasons that God gave me this experience so that I would have an opportunity to share it with someone. I don't know who, I never know who, but I would have the opportunity to share it with somebody so that it could be of help to them.
A random survey reveals that many people do not believe in a true heaven and hell. Many of those who do believe these places exist have different ideas of how a person gets to one place or the other.
I don't believe there's a hell. I do believe there's a heaven. Somehow there has to be more to this existence than just, you know, your short period of time on the earth. It's got to be something following it.
I believe that everyone will pay for what they do in life. I don't believe necessarily by what the Bible says about hell being a fiery inferno. I believe that hell is just your worst fears and everything that can be evil in your own perception, you pay for eternity. And I also believe that heaven is where you could live for the rest of your life in peace as long as you love God and live for God and live by His word.
I do believe there is a heaven, definitely a heaven. I'm not sure so much about the hell, how you explain hell. However, yes, heaven, yes.
I don't think it's necessary that you attend church to go to heaven or that you believe in the Bible, but just live a good life. I think hell is reserved for just a few really bad people, maybe somebody who might commit murder intentionally. Probably murder is about the only thing I would think you would probably end up in hell for.
I'm not really sure what would define you to go to hell or why you would go to heaven. I really wouldn't know.
I think there's probably not either a heaven or hell, just an afterlife. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm not sure what there is, but I think there's just sort of a middle, like a limbo or a purgatory where everybody goes. That's neither really comfortable or really traumatic.
I believe that everybody, number one, in their own mind thinks of a heaven and hell, and heaven is what makes them the happiest, what they're looking forward to in the future, and what they strongly believe by their belief, whether it be God or some other deity or some other entity, that heaven does exist, and that's what they work for in life. My daughter is a proclaimed atheist, but somewhere in the back of her mind, she knows that there is, in her mind, what she wants out of the final lifetime. And to me, that is all it requires. A deity is not required.
I believe in my kind of belief, which is more of a metaphysical belief. I believe how you feel on earth and how you view heaven, what it is, it's your own conception. So it becomes that way when you die. So if you believe that there's a God source in you and that you're basically a good person and you're a happy person, that's what happens to you after you go. But I don't believe that you're penalized and that you go to some place full of fire if you didn't live your life the way organized religion thinks you should.
Many people are trying to dilute the message of hell, the message of heaven, saying that neither of these worlds exist. Why not eat, drink, and be merry? If there is no accountability, then there is no sin. And if there's no sin, Christ died in vain. And if Christ died in vain, what do we need God for? This is the new philosophy of the New Age, that there is no hell. It is the hope of most people there is no hell. On the other hand, people are going to visit our loved ones in the hospital with a new message of a new age that is the exact opposite. It's called the religion of NDEers, the religion of near-death experiencers. Look, I went to heaven, they tell the patient that's dying, and I saw the light, and I came back, all is well. There is no accountability, there is no hell. Heaven's gates are open wide for everyone who dies. Look at me, I'm an atheist, I'm here. You don't have to worry. Death is nothing to be feared. I'm going to stay with you. Your family's too afraid to stay with you while you're dying, but I'm not. Let me hold your hand. Let me tell you about this glorious thing that's coming to get you, this beautiful light at the end of the tunnel, where there is no worry, no loss, only gain. You're acceptable as you are. There is no heaven. There is no hell. Is eternity for all. And this is the new age called the Omega faith, where everybody goes to heaven. And this is the group that's coming into our hospitals now, counseling the dying instead of our church groups counseling the dying. The dying is the most neglected ministry of all ministries we have. Nobody wants it. Everybody's afraid of the dying patient. And the dying patient wants to know what dying is all about. Does it hurt? Is there life after death? Is there heaven after hell? How can I make sure that I'm going to get to heaven? And you can tell them. It's a free gift. You can tell them how to get it. But if we don't defend ourselves against the Omega faith and these people infiltrating the hospitals now with a faith that's deadly, nothing, that the world is nothing, then we're going to lose our own Christianity. The patient will die naked without any faith at all. We'd like to introduce the case of Dr. Whitaker, who's still in practice, an atheist at the time, had nothing to do with God. But there's a situation that occurred that changed his life, and we'd like you to experience it with him.
It was February of 1975. At that time, I was an alcoholic out of control. I was also using recreation drugs, but primarily alcohol was my drug of choice. And I totally was out of control. And I had a lot of friends in the entertainment business, and Hoyt Axton happened to be one of them, Ringo Starr and a bunch of people. And so they were having a TV special on the West Coast. And so Hoyt had called me and asked me if I would like to go or come out. And I told him, yeah, I'd love to, because I knew there was going to be a lot of booze, I knew there was going to be partying, and while they were doing their special, I was doing my thing. And so after about 3 or 4 days out there, I became ill. And by ill, I mean I had a severe pain in my abdomen. I flew into Oklahoma City and called a senator friend of mine and told him I had to have a car because I was ill, I was sick. So they sent a car and they took me home, and I checked into the hospital at Wadley Hospital in Texarkana in February of 1975. I checked in with electrolytes, which means my potassium, my chlorides, and various chemicals were so far out of balance that they had to give me IVs to build me up. Now, at that time in my life, I was an atheist. I was a hardcore atheist and was living for myself. Atheists are self-centered, and they live for themselves. And this is where I found myself in 1975 in the hospital, and they took 3 days and then they operated me. And when they operated me, I found myself in intensive care. I woke up on a respirator, which means they were breathing for me. I couldn't speak, but I had been laying there in a coma, and I had heard these people talk about how sick I was and how I was going to die and how I wouldn't get out of the hospital. And at that time, my hair was very, very long because I just wore my hair long. And I heard one guy say, his hair is long, and another guy said, not nearly as long as it's going to be before he gets out of here. And a third voice said, he's not